Hi, Sini Sum here. Today, I am going to summarize the movie Moonfall. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. 12 January 2011. A team of astronauts, directed by Commander Jacinda Joe Fowler, Halle Berry, is doing maintenance on a satellite repair station. Astronaut Brian Harper, Patrick Wilson, Joe's companion, discovers an odd swarm of nanotic beings approaching them. The swarm collides with the satellite. Brian tries to save his buddy Alan Marcus, Frank Fiola, but is thrown back by the swarm, and Marcus, along with another astronaut, perishes. Brian makes it to Joe's ship, and they successfully travel back to Earth. Brian has been shamed by NASA 18 months later, when his allegations of the swarm assaulting them are dismissed as nonsense. His friendship with Joe suffers a severing, and he eventually divorces his wife Brenda Carolina Bartchak. She relocates to Jersey with their son Sonny, who grows estranged from his father. Casey Houseman, John Bradley, sneaks into the University of California 10 years later to acquire information about strange moon activity. He returns to his normal employment at a fast food restaurant, where he receives confirmation of the peculiar data from the moon's orbital track. Later, Casey visits his Alzheimer's-stricken mother Elaine, Kathleen Fee. Joe is still employed by NASA, but she is no longer married to her ex-husband, General Douglas Davidson, E. McQuicker. They share custody of their son Jimmy, Zane Maloney, and Joe also shelters Michelle, Kelly Yu, a foreign exchange student who also looks after Jimmy. Joe gets informed at work of odd activity emanating from the moon. Casey pretends to be Brian, who was summoned to speak at a museum for a class field trip. When Brian arrives, Casey attempts to convey his readings and information about the moon approaching Earth, but Brian rejects him and has security remove Casey. But not before Casey tosses his material at Brian to read. Brenda has remarried Tom Lopez, Michael Pena, and has 2 kids with him, Nikki, Ava Weiss, and Lauren. Brian now lives alone, Hazel Nugent. Brenda phones Brian because Sonny, Charlie Plummer, is being hunted by police in the news. Brian attempts to attend his bail hearing after being detained, but due to his interruptions and the lawyer declaring money is no problem, the court postpones the hearing for a week, forcing Sonny to remain in jail for that long. As Brian tries to bribe the court into releasing Sonny, news spreads that the moon has fallen out of orbit. According to Joe's colleagues, they have less than 3 weeks before the moon begins to break apart and send city-sized pieces of debris hurtling across the globe. NASA organizes a shuttle launch with a crew of 3 astronauts to investigate the occurrence on the moon. The astronauts come into contact with the swarm, which surrounds the shuttle before breaking in and killing the astronauts. As seen back at NASA, panic spreads across the globe, with looting and rioting taking place. Soon after, a tsunami hits California, and Brian is forced to assist Casey after he is swept away by the water. After viewing the shuttle footage and discovering a hole dug into the crater floor, Joe digs into the old NASA archives and discovers helmet cam footage from Brian's suit during the first failed mission. She is discovered by a man named Holdenfield, Donald Sutherland, who works in the archives and implies that NASA is hiding something about the 1969 moon landing. Joe tries to gather a crew for a second mission and is brought in to meet Casey and Brian, the latter still angry with her for throwing him under the bus after their last mission. They learn about an EMP designed to kill the swarm and steal a shuttle from a museum in order to launch it into space. Brian arranges for Sonny to be released from prison and join Brenda and her family at Tom's cabin in Colorado before the mission begins. On the way out there, he is joined by Michelle and Jimmy. As another disaster approaches, Joe and Brian act quickly to launch the mission, with Casey invited to join because he knows more about megastructures than they do. They all board the shuttle as a gravitational anomaly causes a massive ocean wave to approach the city. The crew takes off just as the water approaches. On the way to Colorado, Sonny bonds with Michelle and Jimmy, and Sonny speaks to Doug to reassure him that Jimmy is safe. They are forced to walk after being robbed by a trio of thieves on their way. Another gravitational shift pulls people into the air, but Michelle holds on to Jimmy. They eventually arrive at Tom's house, but not before a crazy lady with a gun fires at them, believing they are intruders. In space, the trio arrives at the moon and discovers the swarm surrounding it. They place the bomb in a location where the swarm can grab it, but it stops short of touching the bomb. The swarm continues to attack their shuttle until their electronics are disabled. The crew discovers that the swarm is avoiding electronics on purpose. Joe believes that there are 2 distinct entities on the moon, one of which is attempting to assist them. The trio arrives at the moon's base, where Brian is greeted by the moon's operating system, which takes the form of Sunny speaking to him as a child. According to the OS, the swarm is an artificial intelligence created by ancient humans. The swarm developed its own mind and killed its creators before establishing a base on the moon and feeding off the energy of a white dwarf in the core. Because the internal structure of the moon has destabilized, it has shifted out of orbit. Brian is told by the OS that the AI can be defeated, but that a human must remain behind to make it happen. Sunny, Michelle, and Jimmy return to Earth and join Tom and his family in their evacuation. The earlier thieves attempt to rob them, but Sunny and Tom repel them with guns. The thieves pursue them and try to run them off the road as they try to flee. The moon then causes another gravitational shift, causing chunks of Earth mass to fall to the ground. After Sunny manages to drive off a ramp to safety, the leader of the thieves is crushed by debris, and the remaining two thieves crash their car into a chunk of mass. Meanwhile, in a last-ditch effort to save everyone, the President of the United States orders nukes to be launched at the moon. As the air begins to thin, Sunny, Tom, and everyone else put on oxygen masks and make their way to a cave for safety. Nikki's oxygen tank runs low, so Tom lends her his. He begins to run out of breath and tells Nikki to just keep walking until he dies. When Nikki returns to her family, the oxygen begins to return, so Sunny and Michelle attempt to locate Tom, but Sunny is knocked down by a falling tree, which pins him down. The trio on the moon attempts one last time to deliver the bomb to the swarm. Doug threatens his colleagues with a gun to keep them from nuking the moon, because he believes Joe can still save them. When the trio gets close to the bomb, Brian offers to sacrifice himself in order to stay behind and deliver the bomb, but Casey steps in instead. He believes that Brian and Joe have families to return to, whereas he has the opportunity to finally do something with his life. Brian and Joe bid him farewell, and the swarm surrounds Casey's pod before he detonates the bomb, killing the swarm and repositioning the moon. Brian and Joe are close enough to Earth to take a pod out. Brian and Joe reach their destination and are reunited with their families. When Brian learns of Tom's fate, he tells Brenda that he was a wonderful man. In addition, he informs Sunny that Casey saved the world. Casey's consciousness is uploaded to the base on the moon. He meets the operating system, who takes on the appearance of his mother. Casey is informed that they are about to embark on a major project. Subscribe to watch more Cine summaries like this. Turn on notifications and press the like button to support the channel. Thank you.